going on, guys? Waco from Revolution here with Constant Kwong in the Revolution Watch Bar, and we are here to show you our latest collaboration. It's with De Rijke Co. It is a Miffy watch, a Miffy Double Moonphase watch, in fact, and it is executed in this beautiful pink. It is donating a percentage of the proceeds for every watch to breast cancer charities, and it is kind of the watch that we feel is really a wonderful symbol of optimism and hope, and maybe it's the watch that maybe is most apt right now in rather challenging times. Let's talk to you a little bit about De Rijke Co. It's a watch company that was created by our friend Lawrence De Rijke, who's from Holland, and the idea for his watch came to him when he was following the Silk Road, right, which is the route between Asia and Europe, and when he was riding a 50-year-old Vespa that he had restored himself.
This is insane. Like, how does his bike actually survive the whole Silk Road? It's insane, right?
Well, unfortunately, he's an incredibly skilled mechanic, so if anything were to happen to go wrong, I think he would probably be able to repair it. Probably could even give it a new paint job if you wanted. Right? And the thing with Lawrence was when he had his hands on his handlebars, he realized that it was really challenging for him to read the time, right? He had a vintage Vostok watch on his left wrist, and he kept having to turn his wrist to the right angle for him to be able to read the time.
But you can't, right? Basically, how do you do it?
I think you just basically have to go like this. But even when you take your hand off the handlebar, it's not really in the perfect orientation.
Oh man, it's not safe as well.
Also, if it's not a good road and you're in a 50-year-old Vespa, it's probably like this.
Yes.
You know, right?
Like that.
So he started to think about like how could he create a watch that had the perfect orientation if you were either riding an old Vespa or even driving a vintage car, right? And he started to think about what are called driver's watches, where the entire case and dial are angled, canted, so that they're a little bit more visible from you from your perspective with your hands on the steering wheel. He was thinking about watches such as the wonderful Tint asymétrique, right? Or even the Vacheron Constantin 1921. But the thing with both of those watches is that the positions for the dials are fixed. But the reality is, whether you're riding a Vespa or whether you're driving a vintage car, your hand is in kind of slightly different positions. And plus the sort of human morphology is different from person to person. So finding the exact right angle for him to view his watch with optimum precision became a mission for Lawrence, right? And he started to dream of a watch which could actually rotate within an outer case. And he came up with this concept. The cool thing was Lawrence was an engineer, and actually he became an autodidact and taught himself microengineering and created the prototype for his very first case. And what's remarkable about this case is it doesn't use any sort of ball bearings or gaskets or anything like that. It works with precision. And so that when you shift it, there's an audible click from every single position that the watch is in. And you can rotate the inner case and dial of your watch to precisely the location that you would
Anywhere
like.
you want,
So it's perfect. And when you put it on your wrist and you wear it, you can wear it all day long, and the case will never shift in position because it's so precisely engineered.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, this is huge. This is heavy engineering. To be honest.
And so Lawrence decided to call his watch the Amalfi series. It was reminiscent of driving along the Italian Riviera, you know, in a vintage Alfa Romeo with the girl of your dreams around.
He's such a romantic guy. I mean, to be honest. Like,
Lawrence, you're a very romantic guy, right? And I love this watch also because it's true. Like you can put it on your wrist and you can change the position of the watch so that it's perfect from any angle. But then Lawrence came across another adventure. He came across the estate of Dick Bruna. And Dick Bruna is Holland's most famous cartoonist. He created a character named Miffy, and Miffy is a cartoon rabbit who goes on these little adventures, but is also, to me, this wonderful symbol of innocence, of happiness, and of edification. Right? Dick Bruna made his first book on Miffy in 1955, and 30 more books followed after that. Miffy has been the feature of a television series and even a feature film.
Still a very big staple, a very, very strong cartoon character to the modern time. It's still very relevant also.
Absolutely, and what's incredible about Miffy also is it became an international symbol, adopted around the world, huge in Japan, for example.
Go to Japan, yes. That's why I say go to Japan and you'll be shocked. Like the Miffy culture there is really, really strong.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing about Dick Bruna also was he was a guy that was very much steeped in the emerging contemporary art of his time as well. So he was deeply influenced by Ferdinand Legel. He was very much influenced by Matisse as well. And if you look at Miffy, she is a masterpiece of minimalistic line drawing combined with primary colors as well. So Lawrence decided, okay, he wanted to make a Miffy watch and was given permission to do so by the Dick Bruna estate. But he didn't want to just create any watch. When he thought about Miffy, he thought about the childhood nightlights that he would have by the table. And he thought about how the illuminated Miffy gives us all a reminder of like sort of hope and tranquility. And he decided he wanted to create a watch that was similar to that. So what he decided to do was to create a moonphase watch with Miffy sitting on the moon.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
But not just a moonphase indicator, he created one of the world's biggest moonphase indicators. It's actually 20 mm in diameter, right? And also it's a double hemisphere moonphase, and there's two Miffys, one on top and one on the bottom. And he decided to make Miffy and the moon and the stars completely luminous.
Yes, that's what we love as well, right?
Exactly, yeah, we love luminous watches. So when we saw this watch, we said, well, you know, Lawrence, would it be possible for you to take a sapphire dial and place it on top of Miffy so we could see both hemispheres at the same time and we could see all the wonderful luminous effect of Miffy in one shot?
That's a great sort of concept, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. We're actually kind of inspired by the Langa Lumen.
No, cut that.
That's fine. It's very different price categories. And so the very first watch that we did in collaboration with one another was this wonderful timepiece. So this is the De Rijke Co times Revolution Miffy Double Hemisphere Moonphase indicator, which is a completely luminous watch in terms of Miffy, in terms of the moon, and in terms of the stars that you see. And somehow when I look at this watch, like I feel incredibly calm. Like I feel like I'm being sucked up into the sky, the night sky, along with Miffy.
It's a mesmerizing dial. Yeah, it's a mesmerizing dial.
So it was created in this wonderful blue colorway.
Of course.
How many of these did we make?
We made 100 pieces of this limited edition earlier this year.
Right.
And it was really successful as well. I'm actually pretty shocked, you know, the feedback I have from some of the owners that own this watch. They love it.
Oh, really?
They love it.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
one of my friend wife, hey bro.
What's her name?
Daryl.
What's up, Daryl?
So his wife actually pushes my friend to buy this watch.
Oh, really?
He really loves the overall. She's not a Miffy fan.
Right.
She knows Miffy, but this watch really connects with us.
Well, actually, I mean, that's really interesting because the size of the watch is perfect for any wrist, right? It's 38 mm in terms of diameter, 9 mm in terms of thickness. So, I mean, really, like a wonderfully sized watch. It's driven by a Salita movement, correct?
Yes, it's SW288, Salita-based movement. Great, you know, it's easy movement to service. This is a great movement. It's a great daily movement.
So we created this wonderful execution in blue, but we had another idea later. And so many years ago, a couple of years back during COVID, we decided to create something called the Pink Dial Project.
Yeah.
And the Pink Dial Project was an initiative where we asked brands to create watches with pink dials for the month of October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We launched those watches on an auction that was carried by our friend Eric Koo on Loop This.
Okay.
We raised over $500,000 US, and we donated 100% of the proceeds to breast cancer charities. We had actually planned with Lawrence as well to create a second Miffy watch for this year, also for October, to celebrate Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but unfortunately things got delayed. But we didn't want to bring this watch out next year because this is still the year of the rabbit.
Yes.
And so we thought we'd bring this watch out in late November as kind of an early Christmas present. And this is our Miffy pink double hemisphere moonphase watch. Also a watch that percentage of the watch proceeds will go to the breast cancer charities that were the beneficiaries of our Pink Dial project as well.
It's a really touching thing. One of my friends' wife just got breast cancer. Yeah, and you know, it's a really tough time, and then we realized that we are gonna launch this watch, and it really got me thinking. Us, you know, Room Revolution, we just want to bring in a little bit of optimism, and we hope that, you know, this Miffy watch, you know, this cute, beautiful execution of a watch, you know, thank you Lawrence as well. It really, you know, try to bring some light and joy into people's life, you know, especially in this period of time.
Absolutely. You know, I think what I like about this watch so much is the color of pink that he selected. It has this sort of like opulent, almost shimmering effect to it, which is really lovely and which is really stunning, and in combination with this great gray strap that he's put on here.
The base of the dial is gray as well. You know, it's just a very interesting colorway.
It's really elegant, right? So I mean, we had this conversation as to whether or not we should create the base of the dial, which is in the sky, right? Whether we should do it in blue or maybe in something darker. But in the end, this sort of dark anthracite gray in combination with this beautiful gray strap, in contrast to this beautiful luminous pink dial, just is really elegant, right? And that's the thing that we also want to make sure is that it's a watch, certainly with a pink dial. We didn't want it to feel like it was a cartoon watch. We wanted to
don't want to make it too tacky.
Exactly. You know, we want, or too childish. We want to make it childish in the right way, like childlike, I suppose. But we also wanted to make it, you know, an elegant watch that you could wear on your wrist, even, you know, going out to dinner in a
I think it's a great
cool restaurant.
Watch. And of course, we got to show off the loom. It's something of a iconic. Look at that. My God.
You know what? I'll flip it around so you guys can see. Well, I guess Miffy appears on both sides.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. And so I guess the other thing to be aware of as well is that the majority of moonphase watches that we see are representative of the northern hemisphere, how the moon appears in the northern hemisphere, right? So in the southern hemisphere, it appears in exactly the opposite way. And so you have a depiction of the moon accurately displayed in both northern and southern hemisphere here in the watch. If we turn the watch around, this is also a wonderful engraving on the back of Miffy, which shows you what a masterpiece of minimalistic line drawing Miffy is. And that's it, guys. The watch will be made in 100 pieces.
Once again, 100 pieces.
And we hope that anyone that gets one wears it and is reminded that the world is actually a wonderful place and that there's lots of things to be hopeful and optimistic about. Thanks, guys.